right, welcome back to Griff Guide Podcast. This is episode 13. Wow, look at me go. We're getting them done. This is my dad, Jeff, who's been on the show before. Thanks for joining me today again.
Hey, Jeremy. Happy birthday.
Yeah, thanks.
He's 30, just if anyone's wondering.
Awful.
It's a tough birthday for him.
Well, yeah, this was a very, very tough birthday for me. This was a tough year in general, so no, it's good. It's funny, though, because I woke up yesterday morning and I said, well, shit, I'm 30 today. And as soon as I rolled out of the bed, granted the mattress was awful, I rolled out of the bed and I said, wow, my back really hurts today. This isn't good. This is not a good way to start. But it's funny because people are like, oh, yeah, as soon as you turn 30, you start to feel things a little bit more. And I was like, there's no way. There's absolutely no way that this is right. But
So, all right, so when you're 60, all right, so I'll be 60 this year. Well, it's ailment of the day. So when you wake up, that's what it's all about. Okay, what hurts today? Oh, right wing, left knee, back. Yeah, that's what happens.
it just keeps going.
Ailment of the day. So
No kidding.
Today it's left shoulder. It's been driving me nuts for a few days.
That's not good.
I'm going to the chiropractor when I leave here, so I'm okay.
There you go. Getting fixed up. Doc's going to fix you up.
I'll be good.
So last time you were on the show, we talked about all the crazy things that kind of unfolded to grow or to start Jay Griffin and grow Jay Griffin. But, I guess we really didn't talk about like day-to-day operation stuff and what it's like running a business, going from not understanding a business at all to jumping into this massive thing, or what we look at as massive now, because it is kind of a bit of a monster. So I don't know. What's your take on that? Because I don't think we've ever had that conversation before.
So I'll tell you, it's about a full steam ahead mentality. It doesn't really matter, like all that other shit that goes on and all that stuff. It's just about just get it done, do what you have to do the right thing, and move forward. And you probably hear that shit all the time, but it is true. Anybody that's gonna be successful is gonna put people first. They're gonna put problems and issues and all the bullshit that goes with it first, and then all that other stuff falls into place, and then money falls into place.
That's true.
That's just the way it works.
Yeah, it's just executing things as efficiently as possible to try to move the ball forward.
Yep. That's day to day. Day to day is just who the hell. I had someone bleeding in my office today, one of my employees. They rushed him to the hospital, and I'm not kidding you. They rushed him to the hospital, and then he filled up her bottom of her car with blood. And
it was that bad?
So, yeah, man, I was, sopping up some...
Middle of the day, you're pulling blood out of somebody's car.
Throwing car mats in the trash.
That's a new one. Mm-hmm. Is that a workman's comp claim? How's that work?
Dude, I don't really get it.
I got to figure that out
I just said throw money at it, we'll solve it.
Yeah, well, that does tend to
So today was fun.
fix problems.
But that's it. That's what it really comes down to with like being in business and doing it the right way. You got to always put people first. Your customers have to be first no matter what.
Yeah.
And then your employees, they got to be first too. Like everybody's just bundled right in that.
Yep.
It's all about people and doing the right thing by them. Anybody who's successful will tell you that's the same thing. You can't. That's just the formula.
My whole thing with that is like, how do you get? Because you look at guys like. I don't know if you've ever... Jimmy Hiller, have you ever heard of him before?
No, dude,
Jimmy Hiller is out of Tennessee, and he runs a $150 million a year operation.
Nice.
I don't even know how you get to that point where you're like, oh, yeah, this is completely sane what I'm doing, and it's like, this doesn't bother me or keep me up at night. I don't know how the guy does it, to be honest.
So, you know what, Jeremy? I'm going to tell you, I'm turning a corner with my thought process. The older I get, I have to realize that I'm in business.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm in business. It's business. So that when I'm trying to put something together, I can offer a service at an absolute premium, and that's business. If you're interested, great, we'll do business. If not, well, we'll move to the next person, and they will. And that's what I'm realizing. It's business. So, even talking with a couple of our employees actually a couple of people have been through here that you guys have talked to on the podcast too. I'm sharing that thought and just saying, you know what? It's great to be attuned to the people, and we are.
Yeah.
And we always will be.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not shining enough light, or I'm not personally. I know you have because you've really catapulted the company, but I personally am turning that corner where I'm like, yeah, it's business.
Yeah.
And if you want to do business with a company of our caliber, And, there's a price attached to it. And if we're going to stop the world and we're going to focus on you as a customer, and we're going to give you all of our efforts and everything, it's going to cost a little bit.
Yep.
And I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that.
Well, it's just the same way as like when people go into a car dealership to go buy a car. If they're going to do business with that dealership, in most cases, and I'm sure Nick has a little bit of input on this too, if somebody's walking in there and they have the cash and they're ready to buy a car, they get all the attention in the world from the salesman, the finance manager, everybody. All of a sudden, this guy's ready to buy. Okay, boom, all of the attention goes to that guy. It works the same way.
Once we run the credit, then we.
Yeah. No, I'm just, but like Nick, if you have
credit first,
you have
dump out the nickels.
Yeah. But if you have a cash buyer walking in there, you're like, all right, cool. This guy's ready to write me a check. We're getting things done in a very timely fashion.
Yeah, I mean, you're moving metal. That's the job. That's the name of the game. So
That happened today.
bring them in, move them out.
Right.
Yep, that happened today. Walked in, had some problems. Everything was burnt up, and his furnace was
Melted.
a mess. It just all melted inside, and it was a big problem. But I said, okay, here we go. If you want to do this, I can do this now, but it's going to cost this. Okay, and he was actually a property manager. He called the owner, and the owner just said, yeah, do it. So, boom, that was it.
But they had an understanding of how the process worked, so they were more willing to just be like, all right, these guys can get it done now. Let's do it.
Yeah, they were willing to just move forward, which is great. So
I feel like we find that, it seems like it's becoming more and more common that like property managers and management companies like that are very, not easily persuaded, but they understand what it takes. So they're less apt to throw, conflict on the situation. They're less apt to throw objections at the situation. Whereas like a normal homeowner who's shopping around, or maybe they're not and they're in an emergency situation, but they still choose to shop around because they think that.
Yeah, so I think that it's just a matter of someone being able to discern whether they can just, read between the lines. Is no bullshit.
That's true.
I think he just looked at it and was just like, "Yep, you're right. You guys are no nonsense." And
It's going to get done.
So it'll be done tomorrow afternoon.
Right, exactly. So they don't care. They just want to get their people back online.
Hopefully the shoulder's better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's good business stuff for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just funny though, trying to plan for 2025 now and like figure out the budget and figure out all that stuff. It's now become like not a daunting task, but it's become like a pretty big thing in front of me that I'm looking at, and I'm like, holy crap, that we're playing around with like a lot of people and bodies and numbers and trucks and trying to figure out how to orchestrate everything, even on a day-to-day basis. What it takes to keep the ball moving, to keep everybody employed is definitely a lot crazier than it used to be.
So one of the things I think, Jeremy, that we've been able to do at J. Griffin is, in business and the business side of it, we are affiliated with some very successful companies in the area, right?
That's true.
So what are we doing? We're just grabbing their coattails and going for a ride, right? We're mimicking what they're doing. That's how you win in business, is duplication. If you can duplicate it and this guy's successful, there's no reason why you can't be too. So
yeah.
And I think that's what's happening. I think we're at that point where eventually, and I hope to God I'm out of a truck soon, the fucking knees and all that stuff. But, I just hope to God that it's like I'm effective within the company as I can be, but not in the physical sense of all that too. Because there's a lot of mental crap, as you know.
The mental stuff's
and then you're pounding
massive.
all that other stuff on there too.
Yeah.
So hopefully I don't mind getting dirty. That's not a problem.
It's mastering the McDonald's franchise side of the business.
Yeah, because you know what? What are we in this for? What the fuck? In Christmas time, I was on call, and I was like, okay, I've had enough of this.
Right.
And it was really busy, and it was a pain in the ass, but we did what we had to do with our customer base and took care of them and everything. But I'm like, wait a minute. I own this company.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
I have a tendency to even forget that. Even being in the office every day, I have a tendency to be like, all right, you know what I mean? You get caught up in a lot of the crap, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be running this thing.
Hey, what's up with the hole in the ceiling? The last time I saw a hole in the ceiling like that, my kid stuck his face through it.
Yeah, they didn't put a diffuser on there yet, so it just is.
All right.
It's all right.
Creepy. I'm not gonna lie.
We'll get there. I know it is. You're like, is that just a hole to the attic? Is there a raccoon gonna jump out of there, or what?
No, that's where we put all the guests that don't behave.
There you go.
That's how you feed them.
Yeah.
Oh, stuff them in the attic. I got a story for you. I don't know if you're interested, but one time I was going to this guy's house, right? and I was with an electrician.
Oh, good. This is a good
So
story.
this is probably the most bizarre, like messed up shit that I've, honest to God, this was just a mess. And I'm not kidding. So the guy calls me up. He's got frozen pipes. I'm like, okay, sure. Yeah, no problem, buddy. We'll be there. He goes, you got to make sure you call me when you're outside. I'm like, okay, that's kind of common. People do that. So like, okay. And he seemed just like a little quirky. Like, you know, some people like intellectually, like when you talk to them, they just seem a little off. So this guy seemed a little off. But I'm like, okay, I'm in the business of making money. Let's go fix a frozen pipe and make some money. So I get there and I says, I call the guy. Electrician's just for the ride with me, hanging out, we're talking and stuff. And I call the guy, and the guy says, okay, do not go to the front door. Go to the side door. When you knock on the side door, I'm going to answer the door, but do not shake my hand. And I went, okay, that's a little weird.
This is pre-COVID, mind you.
Oh, yeah.
This is like years before COVID.
Years ago. Do not shake my hand. I got like a sensory issue bullshit thing. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's weird. So I looked at the electrician. I said, listen, if I don't come out of that house in 15 minutes, you come in and get me. And I said, I swear to God, I said, if I don't come out of that house in 15 minutes, you come in and get me to come out. Because it just seems so off, right? So I get there. I knock on the door. Honest to God, God strike me dead. Charlie Manson answered the door. I was like, oh, my God. But the guy was the spitting image of Charles Manson. And the hair stood up on my neck. And I'm like, what am I doing? And he goes, oh, hey, come on in. I can't shake your hand like I told you. And he's like, quirky and off. Oh, my No, wait.
It gets better.
Wait, dude. This was a mess. Better. So I go, okay, yeah, all right. So, like, I got a screwdriver in my pocket, and I got a pair of channel locks. And I'm like, screwdriver into the eyeball or in the side of the head? Like, where am I going to go? Like, the guy was creepy. Creepy. So I says, oh, okay, no problem. Like, that's what I'm thinking in my head. Automatically self-defense. I go into this, like, fight or flight type mentality in my head, trying to talk. Two conversations. Dude, two conversations, one with him and one with myself at the same time going, boom, boom. So anyways, so I says, okay. I said, all right, yeah, no problem. He goes, yeah, come on, step in. So I step in, takes a key out of his pocket, locks the deadbolt.
From inside.
Inside the house. So I can't get out. I can't, like, undo a deadbolt.
You'd have to kick the door out.
I'd have to either kill him and take the key to open the door. And I went, in my head, I'm like, uh-oh. This is a mess. I left my phone in the truck like an idiot, right? So I got a screwdriver and a thing, and I'm like, okay, well, he's a little scrawny, so I could probably mess him up. I'm okay, right? But you never know. People are weird, right? So now, listen, I'm walking down. I go, all right, and this is side-eye the whole time. I'm like, I don't trust this cat. So I go, okay. I says, so where's the leak? The frozen pipe. So I go down, and I'm walking down a hallway, right? And the bathroom is in front of me with the bathroom door open, and there's a mirror on the over the vanity. So I can see this asshole behind me in the mirror, right? Yeah. So I'm walking down, and then I, like, scoot over a little bit. So, like, I can see him, like, dead on as I'm walking down, and I'm like, oh, yeah, pipes, plumbing, frozen, blah, blah, blah. I don't even know what I was talking about. So then I'm watching him, right? So I get into the bathroom. He's right behind me. And I says, oh, wow. And now, like, the plumbing part of me kicked in because, like, now I'm trying to problem solve. Yeah. So the guy goes, yeah, I don't know. The pipes are frozen. They won't. And the pipes go right into the floor. So that means I got to go into the basement. So
gets better.
So I go, I'm like, oh, shit. So I go, all right. Well, I said, really, honestly, the only way to quote this out is I have to see what's down in the basement. I have to be able to get down there. And he looks at me like I caught him completely off guard. He looks at me and he goes, well, if you go in the basement, he goes, I'm telling you, all those trash bags are my roommates. I have no idea what's in them. So don't touch any of them. And I went, okay, Charlie Manson, trash bags full of shit in the basement. He doesn't know what's in them. It's his house. And I'm, like, processing. And I'm like, oh, all right, well, let's just go take a quick peek, right? Honestly, no. So this was just like a horror movie. It was great, but
it was great.
This was real stuff. I swear to God. So I go And he goes, yeah, it's by the front door. And I'm like, okay, good. I'm near the front door. Good. Okay, let's go there. So the front door is here. I walked in. I went like this down the hallway. I come back. I stand there. There's the cellar door right there, right? No problem. He flips on the light for downstairs, right? I look down the stairs. Trash bags piled up nice and neat, like an army, like very orderly. And I could see them, but it was so dim. It was like worse than like a refrigerator light bulb. I could barely see. And I'm like, dude, I said, I need my flashlight. You got to let me out. I need my flashlight. And I never went back. I swear till this day, that dude was like chopping people up, throwing them in trash bags and putting them down the cellar. And because it was too, and you know what really is strange too? Because I was in the guy's house, I had his phone number, he had my phone number. That guy haunted and called my phone for weeks to come back to that house and fix it. And I'm like, nah, dude, not going there.
All right, I got questions.
But that was true. Sorry. I know.
Have at it, Nick. I know you have questions.
So, couple of things.
Like why?
One, I guess you can't. Nothing bad actually happened. Like you didn't see a hand come out of a bag. So you couldn't. Yeah, because I was thinking in my head, like, why wouldn't you call the cops? But like, you can't call the cops on someone for just being a weirdo.
Yeah,
right?
No.
Yeah, everybody has the right to be weird.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you're allowed to be weird without it being like you actually a murderer.
Yeah.
But he gave you a weird vibe. The thing that's weird for me is why he wouldn't call a different plumber after you left. So wait, so you said I need my flashlight. You went outside.
Fucking took off. See you later.
Was he calling immediately? Like,
yeah, he called, and I'm like, I didn't answer the phone. I totally ghosted him.
Yeah,
he was calling me the next day. He
Yeah.
called me like 4 days, 5 days, 2 weeks. And I'm like, I blocked his number, and I'm like, I want nothing to do with that cat.
wow.
Yeah,
Creepy,
very,
though.
very strange.
He had that scraggly, like that, like lost, empty Charlie Manson.
So I feel like some people who have like agoraphobia, people that don't leave the house, right?
Yeah.
He might be, I'm not justifying it. Yes, he's a weirdo, but he might have had the thing where, like, he's afraid to even go to the end of the driveway. So he keeps the trash in the basement,
Dude.
so that he doesn't have to go out anywhere. I'm not saying this is normal, okay? But I'm saying, like, I could put that 2 and 2 together.
Maybe.
If he looked like Manson, I'm assuming he doesn't leave the house because he doesn't get a haircut. He doesn't, you know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah, but you know what,
still.
though? It was just...
No, I'm not saying it's normal. By the way, Charlie Manson's not normal either.
Yeah,
so,
that's
like, what are you
true.
going to do?
Yeah, very creepy, though.
But that, I wouldn't want to be there.
The
I'm
hair-
shocked. When he locked the door, I would have turned around and said, if you don't want this in the side of your neck, open that friggin' thing up right now.
So
I don't play around with stuff like that.
What are you
That's
doing
crazy.
right now?
He was looking something up.
Oh.
What is that?
What is it?
Charlie Manson like co-wrote one of the Beach Boys songs.
Get out of here. Are you serious?
Yeah, he was like tight. They were like tight with him for a bit.
That pre? No, that was right around
60
the same time.
60,
That was
68,
it. That
it
was
happened
the
in 60,
same time.
69, yeah.
So anybody who's older gets like weirded out by him. He was like, that was some really bad shit that went on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he has a song on Spotify too.
He orchestrated that whole thing. A very evil person. Is he dead?
Yeah, he is dead now.
Oh, hallelujah.
Yeah. Yeah, he died
Yeah.
in jail.
Oh, good, because
Yeah.
he was
Yeah,
bad.
not
bad
good.
news. Yeah. But anyway, so that was just a weird, creepy thing that happened to me one time.
I think it's funny though, because when you had that happen, you like called me pretty much right away, and you were like, "You'll never guess what happened." I think I was still living at home at the time. You're like, "You'll never believe this."
It was just crazy. But
Well,
yeah,
because we don't really run into. I mean, you run into like weird people. I mean, we do run into some strange people, but I haven't gotten. I mean, we have a lot of technicians now, and I have yet to have anybody come back and tell anything remotely close to that story.
in my observation of dealing with the public for a very long time in an intimate, private setting, because that's what it is, right? I can tell you that people today are more batshit crazy. I mean, like for real, like just emotionally unhinged. And this isn't anything new. This is not something that
Would you
just...
say that's happened more since COVID?
No. I'm not saying COVID. I'm just...
No, I know it's not COVID specifically, but I'm saying
Yep.
since that time, Do you think you see now, since 2020, do you see
No.
more crazy
I
people? Or
think it's
when did
pretty
it start that you
consistently
see
the
the
same.
influx?
It's just it's increased as time has gone on.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
I'm just more aware. I don't know.
Well, we don't have asylums anymore. You know?
Well, then,
Well, yeah, that's a whole thing. That,
So
Yeah.
of course we
they
would
probably
see
should
it.
get back to that.
No cuckoo's nest.
No,
you know?
none.
Yeah.
One
I personally believe that all societies have insane people that should not be in populace. They shouldn't be out there. And I know that sounds horrible, but you know what? At what cost?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's people that were in these asylums for their entire lives for a
Yeah.
good reason. I mean, some people are just born with.
It's
know,
not their fault. And
it's
the
not,
the places, the institutions, as we institutionalize, the institutions are there to help them. That's the whole point. So, you know, when you don't have those places to help these people, they go crazy.
Wow, no kidding. In the 1970s, there was 300 known serial killers in the United States.
Oh my word!
You want to know a really cool theory for why that is?
Yeah, actually, I
A
do.
lot of their dads were World War II vets. Yeah.
So they were like basically not present.
Yeah.
Is that
well,
what?
they were either present or the dads came home and they were just all fucked up. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
Do you think that probably had something to do with today's generation? It just snowballed.
No, I think today's generation, it's a lot. I think the internet is a huge, huge thing of it. I think
yeah.
people are living in two different realities.
Yeah, that's
where
very
it's like
true.
the internet reality, like while it is real, it's not like real world. You know what I mean?
You know
It's
what?
not
it's a-
present.
It's
It's
yeah,
a separate entity.
yeah, but
and
you know what?
choose which way you want to go, and some people ride the line between both of them. But
Yeah, but the biggest problem that I have, and the reason why I got off of especially Facebook. Facebook is what kills me. Instagram is somewhat of the same way. Is people, people can put on their best show for everybody when it's on Facebook, but you don't know, like, oh wow, look, that family looks so happy, or oh, that girl just got engaged. You don't know that, like, oh yeah, the dad cheats on the wife all the time, or oh yeah, that dude beats his beats his girlfriend. Like, you don't know those things go on, but everybody puts on this beautiful show, engagement rings and vacations and all this shit, and it's like, if social media didn't exist like it did back in the day, I feel like if all that stuff just went away all of a sudden and we didn't have access to social media, I feel like eventually we would trend backwards and people would not give a shit what I'm doing every day.
I feel like that the average human was not supposed to know that this many people existed, and B, know this many opinions.
Well, yeah, that's true
So-
too. That
So
is very
I
true.
honestly think Hollywood sucks.
Amen. Amen.
Hollywood's to blame because you know what? Think about this one simple.
I disagree.
Hang on. What?
I disagree. I don't think Hollywood's to blame. I think they.
I do because
think
they glorify.
perpetuate it.
Listen, hang on a second.
Go ahead.
So, they're the first ones to scream about our rights to bear arms, right? They fucking flip out, most of them. Oh my God!
Are you talking about in movies?
Hang
Wait,
on.
no, I'm asking.
No. The people.
Oh, agreed. Yeah.
He's
Right.
saying
Sold,
the
okay,
actors.
sold. No,
Right.
yeah,
No,
you
we're
don't have
not
to
talking
convince
about
me.
cinematic stuff.
No.
No.
Because okay.
All right,
but-
hear my point. Hear my point.
Go.
And we could talk all day long.
Yeah.
Right. So the thing is, what they do is they are all, not all, but I think for the majority of Hollywood,
Yeah.
they all speak out against like that right. That's a right that we have, right?
Yeah.
So, and it flips them out, and people are very offended by that.
Until they get jumped.
They can be. Well, of course, right. But the problem is, right, they have no problem. Like, just name anybody in Hollywood that does like an action movie. Anybody.
Mel Gibson.
Right. No, not Mel. I love Mel.
Tarantino.
Yeah,
All right,
there
so,
you go.
So, all right, so you say, right, there you go. You're a crying piece of shit asshole when it comes to the right, the rights. Oh my God, no, we have to be blah, 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 and all this. And then yet, he's the first guy to glorify it,
Yeah.
to put it on the screen,
Yep.
and to promote it.
And he makes some of the goriest movies you've ever seen.
So
right?
like, and that's where I have a problem, like, because nobody talks. Like, if you really believe that shit, and you're in Hollywood and you believe that, and like the Second Amendment's bad, and nobody should have the right to defend himself and all that stuff. If you really believe that, you would not do those movies.
I think that there is a misconception on. So I would say the argument from that perspective isn't that you don't have the right to defend yourself. I think it's more of if we eliminate the guns, there won't be any more gun violence. And I'm not saying that that's
okay, so
correct.
do you know-
I don't agree with
Do
that.
you know what the number one murder weapon in the world is?
I don't. But
It's not a gun.
well, it doesn't matter though. My point is whenever you break the law, right? When you go into a school, God forbid, or when you go into a store and you shoot the place up, you're breaking the law, and it doesn't matter how you obtained your firearm. So if you buy the gun out of the trunk because guns are illegal and go shoot up a bank or something, you're still breaking the law.
Right.
So the benefit, and they also don't understand the law, and I feel like America as people, we haven't had to check the government in a long time, which is the whole purpose of having the right. It's for us to be,
A well-regulated militia.
to stand up
States,
against
though.
our own government.
Right.
And so because we haven't had to do that in 150 years or whatever,
Right.
like people don't think we need it anymore. And the second it goes away is the time when you're going to need it,
Yeah, so, but I mean, that's the thing with Hollywood. I just don't like the way
No,
they,
I totally
they
agree.
glorify it and they make it look like this really cool thing. And
I totally agree.
And
I
all
think
that stuff.
I think that we all have our opinions, right? But I think when you are that famous and you have that much of a voice, stick to making movies and having opinions about movies.
Yeah, people
Well,
use
part of
people
the-
use their power all
part
the
of-
time to twist things,
But,
right?
But part of the reason that we have the power to speak out against things that we don't believe in is because we have the Second Amendment.
That's
Amen.
true.
That
is
enforces
true.
the First Amendment.
Yeah.
And so the second you take away the Second Amendment, now we can start taking things. I don't like people who wear blue shirts. I don't like people who wear cowboy boots. And now you can all go to jail for that. That's a problem. So they don't get it.
Yep.
They can say whatever they want to say. As long as we educate our youth and everything else the right way, we're fine. You know?
Yeah, I agree. So anyways, that's just, I know we went on a little bit of a bend.
Oh, Max is about to bring up a very good point here.
Japanese admiral.
But tell the story behind it, though. You need to tell the whole story, because otherwise this is like null and void.
Like, what do you mean the whole story? Like,
Well, because okay, so I'll
Just read it. Just read it.
I'll tell the story. So in World War II, Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got involved in the war with Japan in the Pacific Theater. So when that happened, Japan obviously was like, all right, cool, we were successful in Hawaii. We need to let's explore the option of a land invasion. And one of the Japanese admirals looked at the statistics and how many people hunted in the United States and how many people owned guns and how many guns were sold based off of what, back in the 40s, what information they can get. And this is what he ended up saying.
there would be a rifle behind every blade of grass.
And that's why they did
Amen.
not. That's why they didn't invade the United States, because they had more registered hunters in the United States at that time, because it was, hunting was a lot more prominent back then, because people were like, all right, this is how we're going to eat, because everything was more primitive back then. But it was like the amount of registered hunters in the United States at that time when we entered the war was, I don't know the exact number, but it was a big enough number for them to look at it and be like, oh my God, that's literally a military. If we invade the United States, the American people are the same size as our military. Oh, yeah. It was stupid amount of people.
Nowadays, it's even
Way
It's
bigger.
eons beyond.
Yeah.
I actually think it's more than
So
that now.
you know what's interesting, right? So with every liberty comes casualty. Of course. And what people don't realize, like, it's a liberty to have a driver's license, but people get crashed up in cars, and we make that argument all the time. It's the same thing. When you have a liberty,
Yeah.
there are going to be casualties.
Oh, look what just happened in Germany, right? That guy just drove through one of those Christmas markets with a car and killed a boatload of people.
Oh, look what happened in.
And it just happened in Louisiana too during New Year's.
people, that sucks.
But it happens all the time, and people are like, "Oh, how do we avoid this? How do we fix this?" You can't. You can't just take cars away from people now.
Yeah.
That's always been my argument for gun rights. Is like never would do this, but I could take out as many people as I want with a gun as I could with a car.
Yeah, or a hammer. Like, I mean, dude, a bowling ball. Like,
so the number
just
one-
any
Hold
object.
on.
Number
I'm
one
not trying
weapon,
to-
knife.
Yeah, that's fair.
Number
That's
two.
fine.
Guess what number 2 is?
A hammer.
Car.
What?
It's a hammer.
No, it's not a hammer.
Oh, I don't know. Car, vehicle. And number 3, gun.
No, actually, it's not.
I think they might have changed those statistics.
Well, anyways,
recently,
what's
but
interesting is
that was-
hands is the number 2
Domestic violence, strangling,
murder.
things like
murder.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So, what are we going to do with that?
cut off
Cut them
everybody's
off.
hands.
That's
Yep.
what you do. You cut them off, and
Nobody's
you learn
allowed
to hold
to
a
have
pencil with your feet. Maybe you do chopsticks or something. Who knows?
Yeah, but then we got to chop off feet. Feet can be dangerous too.
Only if you're not eating or writing.
Yeah, if you kick somebody in the head though, they're toast.
Just a flesh wound.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the difference, not to go off on a whole thing, it doesn't matter. Do your show.
Right.
But
I
the
know it.
difference between the car thing and the gun thing is that the car, having a vehicle is not a right.
No, it's a privilege.
Yeah, it's a
Right.
privilege. Yeah,
But
of
having
course.
a gun is a right.
That's true.
Because like everybody who has the whole musket argument, like they had muskets when they wrote that. And my only retort to that is, so did the military. At the
Right.
time, the musket,
Yeah.
you were allowed to own cannons.
Yeah.
Because there's a big argument
could.
now.
You could own
could.
cannons
And
back in the day.
Well, you can still own them now.
Yeah, you can, which is pretty cool.
It is.
Can you own a tank?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
You can't have. So this is where you get me, and this is where I'm a little bit of an absolutist. Not that, and I don't even own a gun, if I'm 100% honest, yet. But as of right now, I don't. And I believe that if you have enough money, that you should be allowed to buy an Apache helicopter. Doesn't mean that you can fly it without the license.
That's fair.
But, like-
that's a fair argument.
If the whole point of the Second Amendment is so that we can rise up against our own government, we would not be able to actually do that with handguns. Do you know what I'm saying? In comparison to
We can't do
the
that.
directed
Yeah,
energy
they wouldn't be able
and
to pull that
weapons
off
and stuff
now.
that they
So-
have,
right.
So if it was ever anything that was like that caliber and like that,
And I'm not saying that we should be given them,
right?
but I'm saying we should be allowed to purchase them if it's within our means. So if you can afford to buy a tank and you want to have it on the front yard, go for it.
Right.
At Christmas time,
It's very redneck, but
There's
that's
there's
really how I
plenty of
feel.
people that have them though.
Right. And you also still have to follow the law. You can't use the tank.
Yeah.
But like, you know what I mean? Like that's literally the
can't-
whole point of it is so that we left and created the document and wrote that amendment in there because the other government was completely suppressing and controlling us and taking over our
Right,
lives.
and at the time,
Right.
the equipment that they had
Was
they,
muskets.
They wrote it to be equivalent to said equipment.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no,
That's all it is.
I agree with
I'm
you.
not saying go out there and buy
I'll
tanks.
tell you
everybody.
though,
I'm
the
just saying.
forefathers were brilliant. They're geniuses. I read the Madison papers, and I mean, it's like every other sentence is like, who thinks like this?
Nobody does anymore.
It's unbelievable that the wisdom that they had was just incredible.
Well, yeah, but back in the day, I mean, the only way that you could learn, you had to go to school, you had to read books. Right now, to go back to Max's point, there's so many skewed arguments and opinions on social media and on the internet now. I don't feel like you can be a free thinker to that caliber at this point in time. I mean, there's definitely people out there, but it's not commonplace. Like James Madison, commonplace guy. Sam Adams, commonplace guy. Ben Franklin was, he was
'cause
a
they was-
politician.
Dude,
so
when
tyrannical.
when Monroe wrote the Monroe Doctrine, he was 18 years old.
Right, that's what
all
I'm
young
saying.
That's
This man
wild.
he was a
bro.
free thinker.
That's wild. The
Yeah.
signers of the Declaration of Independence we looked it up once.
yeah,
What, they
dude,
were
I think they were all under the age of like 40.
18 to 40. 18
Yeah,
to
but
45.
but
somewhere
most
there.
of the
That's
people,
insane.
most
dude.
of the
Kick
people
ass.
on that document were like in their like teens and 20s. Like there was a few older guys.
And most
Yeah,
of
look at
them,
that.
Yeah.
And
Dude,
most of them,
Alexander Hamilton, 21.
they lost everything. Those guys over time, they lost everything. They lost their careers. They lost their money. They gave their hearts and souls to that piece of paper.
Yeah.
They really did. They thought, and it's brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant when you read through it.
I did not realize Paul Revere was that old when he signed the Declaration of Independence.
How can you even read that?
My eyes are really good. I got cleared to be a fighter pilot last
I'm sorry.
year still.
James Monroe at 18 is ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It's 18. What were you doing at 18? And you're going to sign a country's document
No.
that's essentially a
Dude,
death warrant?
I had a hard time signing papers to get a new truck.
Dude.
So you know what's funny when you live in tyranny for so long, and generations after generations after generations, look what happens. Look what gets birthed.
What was the life expectancy back then?
56.
Damn.
Yeah, so 18, you're like, that's quarter life. Like,
Yeah, that's true. So that'd be like
You got to do age inflation.
I guess if you do age inflation, that'd be like me signing the document
Yeah.
now at
Yeah.
30,
Yeah.
right? That's
always been my
I don't know
argument.
if people are going to live to be 120, but that's their estimate now for like our generation. So, yeah, I mean, would I sign a document like that at this point in time with the way that I can think now? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's always been my argument. Like, it is very impressive that they were young, but also, like, by the time you were 8, you were working 3 full-time jobs in 1776.
Yeah, you were working
Like,
on your family farm.
Nowadays, an 18-year-old doesn't even know the alphabet.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
So look
yes,
at that. Look what's
pretty
happened
much.
with society, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, you have people in their 20s now, right? In society, from like 20 to 30 is basically just I'm gonna just mess
kids.
around.
The
It's a
kids.
free, yeah, they are like literally, yes.
Kids.
But
I
then you-
didn't
that-
understand how to think with my brain until I was like 28.
Here's my other argument for that, though. The lifespan's getting longer, so it's like the opposite.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. But I mean, you're just basically your like teenage years are getting stretched out to literally a span of like 20 years now.
I also think COVID had a big effect on that with people my age, though.
COVID sucks. They just
no,
suck.
but
That
it
whole
did
thing sucks.
it does suck, but it did do a lot.
It was like 2 years
It
of,
kind of
like-
did a lot of damage to Max. How old are you? 25.
25, yeah.
Yeah, it did a lot of damage to your age group of people, which. I mean, I guess in a way makes sense, and financially it did a lot of damage too, because you guys are at a huge disadvantage now, because like for you guys to buy homes, it's virtually impossible. Even to buy a condo anywhere in this area, it's pretty much impossible for you at this
Studio
point.
apartment, pretty much everywhere around is $2,000 a month.
Right, exactly.
Yeesh.
Yeah, so you have to be like top 0.3% of the population to even be able to say, yeah, I can physically buy a house right now and I'm financially stable enough to do so.
The other crazy thing is the job market is insane right now for people my age, because it's like you graduate college, you're looking for an entry-level job,
Right.
but you need 5 years experience for this entry-level job.
Is that how they do it
Yeah,
now?
no, it's like it is ridiculous.
Yeah, so to piggyback off of that, when I had Brendan in here and we were talking about the trades and why there's such a huge discrepancy in tradespeople coming in now and your age group of people retiring is, well, because college drove that for a long time, and the idea that you had to go to college drove that for a long time, but now it's starting to go backwards the other way because people like Max at 25 years old are like, I have to buy a house. Like, I'd like to have a family and kids someday. How the hell am I going to pull this off?
My grandfather, by the time he was my age, already had his house and like 3 kids.
Right, exactly. And that was commonplace back then
Yeah.
because, like, but again, the dollar had more value back then. You didn't have to have all these degrees. It's crazy. You know, now it's very, very hard for anybody in any position to be able to make financial decisions like that.
Well, it's getting crazy because it's like it used to be you like save 50% of what you make, 30% you can like use as you invest it, and then like 20% you save it or whatever like that. But it's getting to a point where it's like more of what we make is going in just into rent. So
Well, yeah,
it's like
you
I
guys
can't save anything.
You can't save anything because you're paying $2,000 in rent and you're doing all this other stuff and you have to pay for all these other insurances and bullshit and your phone and you got to feed yourself. So it's like you might make $5,000 a month or $4,000 a month, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And by the time you get down to the end, you're like, cool, I was able to save $300.
Yeah.
Like even if you're pinching pennies.
Yeah. It can't keep going on. It's not.
I don't even think that a stock market correction, or like they like to say correction, or even a crash at this point is going to solve that problem.
Well, they need to make it so private equity firms can't keep buying single-family homes. Like
Oh, that's
BlackRock.
bullshit.
Well,
BlackRock sucks.
That's a huge problem right now. I didn't even realize. So I had a friend of mine turn me on to that whole thing back in 2020 when the housing market went crazy. That's when private equity really started to get aggressive. And they said by, what was it? I think it was by 20.
They'll own, like 60% of all
I could
homes.
be wrong, but yeah, I think it was by 2038 they were going to own like 60% of single family homes, which is insane. So it's like now, like, dude, I'm thinking the opposite way. I'm literally looking at it like I need to go buy like 8 acres of land and build a house right now because if I don't, I'm not going to be able to do it again.
Might want to try Los Angeles. Just saying.
Yeah.
So that's a
so is the
bullshit. I feel
property
so
in
bad
Los
for
Angeles
people.
going to be cheap after this?
No, they're gonna
They're gonna buy it.
They're gonna hike all the rents in LA, 100%.
Oh, because
my
they
God.
can.
Yeah.
They're taking advantage of people's disparity.
Yes. That I think that the real estate people that do that and the insurance companies that are going to prey on these people are worse than the looters. That, in my opinion, they are the real looters.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't take people's personal
100%.
belongings, but yeah, I'm absolutely with you. They're committing like a heinous crime by doing what they're doing. And I don't think the insurance companies are I heard, and I don't know if this is true, but I heard that the insurance companies months ago started cutting people's policies or rewriting people's policies to not cover them for this in LA specifically.
Yeah,
Oh my
they
Lord.
canceled. I think they canceled 70% of the Palisades fire protection. So it's like, then if the insurance companies can figure that out, then why can't the state look at that and be like, oh,
No, we're not going to go down that road. But you're absolutely right. But yeah, it's sad. Private equity is buying up everything. And to go back to the conversation that Brendan and I just had 2 weeks ago, private equity is buying up all of our market share, like all of it. And there's only a select group of people at this point that are fighting against that. I mean, would it be cool to be like, hey, yeah, I'm going to sell my business? Like, prime example, I got a couple buddies that have very successful plumbing businesses, and they look at it all the time and go, if I sell out to private equity right now, I can get $40 million. I'm 35 years old, and I'm never going to have to work again, and my family's taken care of for generations.
Okay, I'll take that plan.
Right, exactly. But it's hard to look at that and go,
I know,
it's hard to look at that offer and say, nah, I don't want to do this to try to better my industry. And there's very few people out there right now. 128 is one of the guys that Ryan Williams, and I've heard this from friends of friends that have said, I'm never going to sell out to private equity because I truly believe that it is wrong.
Yeah, I do too. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's business. And if it's cyclical in some way, and this is what we have to deal with private equity firms, and that's the way we're going to go.
Build them and sell them, build them and sell them. Like, I don't know. Is that the new move?
I don't know, but I mean, it's like if it's trending and that.
If that's the case, I'm going to try to do this twice.
No, you're young enough to do it.
I know.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, like think about it. Like if that's the trend, Jeremy, like, so what is the goal? What's the end game? So as a company owner and what we own into the business, it's great. We love to service and help people and all that stuff and solve problems and everything like that. At the end of the day, the bottom line is, if private equity comes to Jay Griffin knocking on the door and it's a lucrative deal and the company, what do you do it for? So like,
right.
So, and I get it. It's
tough.
There is principle involved. I totally get that. But at the end of the day, we're in business to support our families and the people in the industry and help and all that stuff. And if it works and that's a gig that comes across and it works.
I know it's
and
hard.
I'm an old school guy. I
know it's hard to say no because you well, I mean the way.
And I hope that if it happens, that it crashes and burns. Give me the money and then drive it into the ground.
Yeah, but that's the other thing too. Is you have to worry about people leaving, but that's not my issue. I think that selling to private equity sounds really cool, and it's going to be this great thing. But personally, for me, my idea is if I could get somebody in there to run the company at a high paid position, hire a CEO, build it up, make it this big crazy thing, and hire a CEO. I know
generations. Of money.
I know a guy who's an wildly successful businessman, more successful than anybody I know, and he got to a point where he just said, "You know what? This is too big for me to run. There's too many people involved. There's too much stuff involved in this. I'm going to still be involved in day-to-day operation and pick and choose what I want to do, but I'm going to go out and hire a CFO." And he did, and it's worked out well for him. He's still getting paid. The company structure hasn't really changed at all, and he's still able to show face and feel good about walking into work every day.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's part of the progression, I believe. Like if that's where you are in
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's
if you
great.
can pull it off, but the problem is that a lot of guys look at the big cash out and that they just focus on the big number because it's really like I stuck my neck
just gonna
out.
blow it
I
anyways.
put in all this hard work and I hit the lottery effectively because now they're finding value in it. And the reason why they're finding value, and I hope that a lot of people see this, is because the stock market has an 8% return annually. Right. Everybody knows that. That's just a typical statistic when you look at any financial management company. That's what it is. It's 8%. You look at a plumbing company, even if you're going bottom of the barrel, doing a terrible job, you're still pulling in 15%. And that's why the investment's so good. And you
I
have
was 60% on Friday, just saying.
Right, and that's the problem is they look at that and they go, well, this company over here is pulling in a 30% profit, and this company over here, well, they're doing 37%, and they're like, holy shit, all we got to do is go in and drop $40 million, and we're going to get a 37% return on investment every single year as long as the company's in business.
Yeah, I get it.
That's the thing that sucks about like private equity is like they don't care about the community.
No, they don't care about shit,
No,
buddy. It's
dude,
all about
They
the
don't.
dollars.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
that's
they
that's
JP
the
Morgan
evil thing.
and JP Morgan and Andrew Carnegie and all those big cats back in the late 1800s, pretty much they're the reason why this shit's messed up now. They're the reason why the stock market's a fucking mess. They're the reason why the dollar has slowly gone down. The
Federal Reserve.
And they've
Federal Reserve.
Listen, they do have a good hand in that though.
I agree.
Oh no, yeah, no, that going off the gold. But you got to ask the question: is who was behind driving that?
Well, the
No,
Federal
I understand
Reserve.
Nixon was.
Federal
I get
Reserve's
that.
garbage,
I get
man.
the Federal Reserve and the gold standard and all that, but you know for a fact as well as I do, there's people who we don't know and have never heard of that were behind that whole thing, and they got wildly rich off
It was
of it.
bankers.
So the Federal
Right,
Reserve.
there
what's
you
great-
go.
It was like 6 bankers got
The
together.
Rothschild family, I'm sure, was involved in that.
Yes.
So what people don't realize is the Federal Reserve is a business.
Yeah, it's not. It's
sell
not
us money.
It's not the entity. It's not an entity
You don't
of the
own
government.
it. You don't own it. I don't own it. It's a business, and I'm like, oh my god.
They sell us money with interest.
It's sick, dude. It's so fucked up. When what was that dude, that cat who sang that song with the scruffy red beard? And
Oh, Oliver. What's his name?
dig that up. That dude,
Anthony. Oliver Anthony. Is that his name?
That cat totally nailed it. Your dollar gets taxed to shit. Yeah, that dude right there. I loved it when that song came out. I was like, it's so true.
Yeah.
Philosophical general question.
Sure.
Is it the Federal Reserve's fault for putting forward a policy, or is it us for buying into the policy?
It's
Well, when
us.
you say us, hang on, brother.
Well, it was a
No,
bunch
I'm saying
of
like
politicians
even today.
that spoke
Wait
for
a
the
minute,
people.
right? So you have like Bitcoin and
Yeah.
things like that. I know it's whatever,
Yeah.
but it is an unregulated, like a form of money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it has a value based on but the Federal Reserve
It's a
doesn't
no.
control
It's a
Bitcoin.
promise.
No, I get that.
Right?
Yes.
So it's something that's like, right now, our physical notes are backed by nothing. Like they're not backed by gold anymore or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's a promise.
But if we were to all of a sudden, this would never happen. I'm just thinking hypothetically.
Yeah.
If we went back to trading with beads and seeds and things like that, they couldn't tell us no. They would just go out of business.
That's why the barter system has been very well.
Weren't they taxing
people? Well, but people don't see that as much in the regular world as like we do in the trades. Like for me, the barter system works perfectly for me because I own.
I would say any small business owner, except for maybe like a restaurant or something. Like any service-based business.
any service-based business, sure. But
you can barter.
Construction-wise, though, for me, because I have buddies that are roofers, I have buddies
I'm
that are
sure.
tile guys, I can go in and be like, hey, Nikki, I bought all this tile. Can you slam it in my bathroom? And he said, can you do a bathroom in my basement? Absolutely. Well, guess what? I just put in a $25,000 bathroom for $4,000. Good deal.
Yeah.
Nobody has access to that, though, in the regular population, which sucks.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy, though, like the money and the way it all works and how, like, every single dollar, it's just insane. Like, what a dollar does. It does nothing.
No, it doesn't do anything.
It's unbelievable.
You might as well throw dollar bills in the trash.
Like, in our company, like, well, no,
But
don't throw 'em out.
we're getting there.
Because of the lack of asylums and stuff, we don't want people throwing their money.
That's true.
Give it to
That's
me.
true.
Give it to me. If you're gonna,
It's
throw
like
it
a
away, give it to me.
disclaimer. We didn't really mean that.
No, I
And if you
didn't
do
mean
it,
that.
let us know where it is.
Well, America has our currency is pretty much just a fiat. It's a fiat currency at this point.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
They're just
Yep.
saying, yeah, this is what it's worth.
You know, and then when they and it burns my ass because like when we hire.
Such a New England thing to say, and it burns my ass.
Well, it does because when we hire someone, we have to pay someone who knows absolutely nothing a premium.
Well, what you consider
what
a
the
premium
hell?
now.
No. I know
Whatever
it.
happened to the apprenticeship? Yeah, don't even get me started.
Oh,
dude. Don't
forget
even
about
get
it.
me started.
I'll go off on the real. And I'm old school. These new
Yeah,
guys.
he's had a
Right.
tough time adjusting to this when I
this
get a new
pill,
person coming in, and I'm
my
like, yeah, we got to pay him
God.
$22
I've been
an
in
hour,
business.
and Jeff is freaking out.
I'm
I've
like,
been in business 5 years dealing with the general public in a field that no one on this side of the country understands. The amount of free work I have had to do to get to the point that I'm at now would blow your mind.
Oh no, I'm sure.
Would blow your
insane.
mind.
I'm sure. But
crazy.
that's the thing that like a lot of these kids getting into the trades now don't understand is like you might come into our company at $22 an hour to start, but like, dude, when I was an apprentice, my first job as an apprentice, I think I was still in high school, but my first job as an apprentice, I was making like $7.25 an hour.
My first job made $8, and then
Yeah,
when I went from 8 to 8.25, I thought I hit the lottery. I was like,
Right.
oh, thank
Yeah,
you
we
so
had
much.
talked about this.
Yeah,
It's
it's great.
insane.
Yeah, it's crazy though because now it's like I'm literally pulling guys in that have the same level of knowledge that I did when I started, same age, and they're making double what I was making, and that was literally 10 years ago.
So I'll tell you what, when it comes to that and like hiring people and having employees, the ones who are very humble about what goes on and the ones who absorb what you're trying to do and understand what you're trying to do as a company and go with it and grow with it, those are the guys. And nobody really understands that because everybody's out for a fast buck. They think they're worth more money than they am, and they'll tell you kick rocks. They will, and they'll go and whatever, and they'll find out the hard way and everything like that.
Maybe.
To find maybe,
no, some people do.
yeah, maybe, but to find that dedicated employee, that one or two,
Yep.
that are like, holy shit, over the
That
top,
wants it. You know what I mean?
and that's exactly right because that's the guy, and they don't know it yet.
Exactly.
They don't know it yet. but
That's why I like hiring people that are inexperienced because they don't come with bad habits and they're
Yep.
ready to take it on.
And
I
you've
love it.
met a lot of our employees. You guys
Yeah.
in the podcast, Jeremy's been great. He's brought tons of people through and everything. And it's like, I don't know that I even have seen that person yet, to be honest with you. But I can tell you, when that person or persons, whoever, if they come
They
through
get
that
the
door,
keys to the
and
castle.
they think like a Griffin. I don't mean to.
No, I get it. I
right,
get it.
But
I
because
get it.
we're
I get
all invested, myself, Josh,
Yes.
and Jeremy, we're
100%.
so invested, right? When you think like a Griffin and you perform like one of us, here's the keys,
to
buddy.
the
Well,
castle.
Dad,
Yeah.
what I would say to that is you, because you're out in the field a lot, you don't get to see a lot of that stuff.
Probably.
Yeah, like he says he hasn't seen it yet. I have a list of people.
Sure,
There's
And
definitely
I
a
think,
list of people.
I think you
in
have
our-
to
in
you
our
have to
company.
also take the who the people are and the time frame that we're all living in,
Sure.
and like the circumstance. It's not the '60s anymore. You
No,
know what I mean?
yeah.
So like my grandfather's work ethic. I have a very strong work ethic. I work literally 7 days a week. But it's still not the same work ethic as like my grandparents. It's
No.
just different times.
Yeah.
And they would think that I'm running a spaceship in here. They have no idea, my grandparents. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh
they
yeah,
don't
if
know
you
what the hell's
told them
going
what
on.
you
Yeah,
do,
yeah.
they'd be like, "People pay you money for that."
I do. I tell them, and they're like, oh, "Okay, so how do you pay your bills?" And I'm like, "No, this is how I pay my bills, right?" So I mean, and I don't hold anything against them for it.
Yeah, of course.
But I think there is something to be said when you grow up nowadays. Kids today are growing up in a society. And I'm not just complimenting for the sake of complimenting, but it's not us. It
No.
goes back to this and how you were raised
Yeah.
and the fact that you're willing to put work in order to get something back out of it.
Yeah.
And when you meet somebody who grew up, somebody young, Max is an example.
Yeah.
And he came in, he didn't have a lot of experience with the equipment and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
In his interview, it was 4 hours long. I
Wow.
interviewed 50 people for this position. He came in with no experience. I brought Alexis in. I brought Rob in. Calling them from home. You got to drive back here. I want you to meet this kid real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
Come on in.
yeah.
It's
4
character.
hours? Were you not here for 4 hours?
It's character.
Yeah, we've had a few interviews that have been like that.
don't care what you know. I'll teach you something.
Right.
Well, this was like the first, like I was applying to jobs for like months. This was like the first job where it felt like how my grandfather got a job, where you walk in with like your resume and you're like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
the way like you get a job now is so far gone from what it used to be. It's absurd.
I mean, we're guilty of that too.
Like
though,
LinkedIn,
dude,
like
because-
so many people will post on LinkedIn, and
that's-
it's not a real ad.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
it's a fake ad.
I hear you, but
bullshit.
Max, to go like to, I guess, counter your point. Like I'm with you, and I love the old school way of you walking into my office with no experience and a resume and a shirt and tie. Does that work? Sometimes it does, but you still have to have a process. Unfortunately, like even with us, we have like a 3-step process through interviews. Yeah, which is a normal thing.
Listen. I keep saying he had no experience, stuff like that. If I felt like he was a complete moron,
Yeah, you wouldn't have.
which
brought
I
him back.
interviewed 50 people for
Right.
this job.
Right.
If I felt like he was a moron and it wasn't trainable and there was nothing really there, it would
Yeah.
have been a very short interview.
No, that's
Most
fair.
of them were.
So what you did, Coach Belichick,
Yeah.
is you.
Go ahead, Tom.
You
You're
did.
creating a
So
Tom Brady.
that's what you did. You went out, you got the C player or the D, and you're creating
Yeah,
an
but
A
I
player.
wouldn't even consider him that. This is the kid that's like 6'9" and has never seen a basketball before. That's the equivalent. And you go,
Right.
you're like, oh, do I have news for you? Like,
Yeah.
you're going to be all right. Come
Yeah.
on over here.
Yeah, right.
That was the mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great personality, old soul.
Character, yeah.
Understands the references about Dean Martin and everything else.
Right.
Nice.
I got
love
him.
Dean
I
Martin.
felt like he got me immediately, and I'm like, okay, I can train you. It's button pushing. You'll
Right.
be all right. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yep.
That was that there. But
No,
there's
it's
a lot
character.
of people.
That's great.
There were a lot of people that were significantly overqualified for the position that I was like, I wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole. Get away from me.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, we've had guys come through.
You know
same
what I
thing.
mean? Like, just because
Yeah.
you know stuff doesn't mean you're going to fit.
Right.
It's a whole thing.
Right.
And I'm a weirdo when it comes to hiring people because
No,
you got
I
to be
hear
able to
ya.
deal with me. So.
We do get a little bit. I kind of get a little hard on people when we interview them because
you
know what?
should.
When we first started and I really got comfortable with interviewing people, it takes a talent to be able to do that. I didn't realize that, but yeah, no, and we probably will do that. Maybe I'll bring Megan in for that because, dude. So I brought on like people that I knew and that people that we had that were vested in. You know, we had people speak on their behalf, write letters, what have you. But then once I got in the hiring process of just bringing people off the street, so to speak, that's when it kind of got weird. And believe it or not, we still have not done that. We haven't really gotten anybody off the street. Most of our employees that we have working for us came from referrals in a way.
Yeah.
And it was like personal referrals because I interviewed with Megan 1 million people for a few different job positions. We had people coming in. I remember this one kid comes in my office, eyes as red can be, redder than the writing on this sweater. Kid stinks like weed. And he sits down in front of my desk and we start talking. And he goes,
Max, you applied to Jay Griffin?
"It's different. You can't. It's different.
It was allergies.
Yeah, that's right. But no, dude, this kid sits down with me, and I appreciate that he was transparent. But we get through the interview, right? And I have more, but we get through the interview, and he goes, "Hey," he's like, "If I get this job, would you have a problem with me having to skip out every Friday at like noon?" And I said, "Right. Well, this is where I'm going." And I was like, "Well, I do have to ask why. I mean, if it's a doctor's appointment, medical condition thing, obviously, that's fine. Just tell me." And he goes, "No, it's because I'm on probation." And I was like, "All right, man. Hey, you know what? We'll call you if we have some."
We had a murderer that
did.
wanted a job at our company.
Yeah, which I probably would have been more.
For real?
Yeah, we had a kid that killed somebody, which we're not going to go into any further, but we did have somebody. Yeah. No, that would be a
Shit
good
happens.
podcast, but I'm not going down that road. I did have another kid that I actually brought back for a second interview because I liked his character. We got to the end of the interview, and he goes, I said, "Can you pass a drug test?" And he goes, "I mean, if you need me to." And I said, "Well, do you have to smoke weed every day?" And he's like, "Well, I guess I don't have to smoke before work." And I was like, "All right, hey, you know what, Ben? We'll just give you a shout, man. Like,
That's
thanks for
crazy.
coming in."
Kids today, they're a
It
mess.
fucking
Right on the application, question 1 right after what is your name should be, do you engage in recreational use?
Which I don't have a problem. If you smoke weed after work, I don't give a fuck. I drink
As long as
gin
you're not on call.
I drink, yeah, if you're not on call, dude, I drink gin and tonics after work. What's the difference? I don't have a problem with that. A lot of our employees smoke weed after work. That's fine. But if you have to ask me, oh, can I smoke before I come in? What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, dude, if you are that desperate to be high all the time, then I don't want you in my building. The ironworkers go out and drink every single day at lunch, and we know that that's going to happen. But to be like, hey, I have to show up to work high, that's like somebody telling me I'm an alcoholic and I have to drink before I come into work.
So how about this one? When I was first worked for the gas company, it was like I was just a rookie there, like 20. I did 27 years there, so this was like 35 years ago, whatever. I'll never forget it. I was in the middle of Lynn, and we had this mad, crazy emergency going on, and then there it is.
When was this, by the way?
What, 90?
92,
Okay.
93,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, sure.
And then we had this crazy ass emergency going on, and I'm like, I need help. Oh my God, everything's going to blow up. So they sent this truck, right? This big giant truck comes. I'll never forget it. I'm like, what the fuck? We were right in the middle of like this huge square, and the cops had everything shut down. And like, you know, you had the press was over there, and they're zooming in, trying. And then here comes the big truck for the gas company. Here they come. They're going to fix everything. They slide the door open and fucking beer cans just fall out all over the street.
Oh my
They're
God.
fucking trying to grab the beer cans. The cops are trying to cover. Just terrible culture. Terrible culture.
So there you go. So it hasn't changed. There are people that will smoke on the job, drink on the job.
Yeah.
I don't want people like that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's your prerogative as a business owner.
That's true. I don't
line.
know if
Yeah.
that's how everybody operates, but I feel
Oh
like
no,
if
no,
you're,
I'm sure that there are people out there who get drunk. I used to work in a butcher shop. 3 or 4 of the butchers behind the counter using large knives were like. There was one guy, again, no names. He used to like be chopping up steaks and all that stuff, packaging it up, and in the middle of talking to a customer, would turn around and vomit in the trash and turn back around and keep talking.
Oh, that
Get outta
sucks.
here.
It was disgusting.
That's sad.
He
No,
was
it
that
real.
bad of an
By the way-
alcoholic.
By the way, this was 2012. I mean, this was like very recently. Like
That's
this is
not
'cause
that
I'm
long
not
ago.
that old. We're the same age. Like
That's
it was
pretty
like
sad though.
it
That
was
sucks.
it
Holy
was sad.
shit.
And he, you know, we need to get him some help, and there was some other stuff, but like there were a lot of people that are like that and need help and
Yeah.
whatever. And it's just not if nowadays with all the regulation and all the BS, if you're still drinking, if you're still doing stuff before work,
Yeah.
you need help.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
true.
sad.
You need help because
Yeah.
everybody else just plays along. You know?
Hey, and just totally going to switch up on you for a second, just real quick. And you guys are probably excited about it. Inauguration Day,
I'm scared.
right?
I'm
No,
nervous.
hey, dude, I'm having at my house, and you're not invited. I'm having
You're
at my
not
house.
invited.
You're not invited. Well, I have to keep a limit to it, right? So we wanted to have like a luncheon, an inauguration luncheon, right? Well,
Oh, so
whatever.
there you
but-
go. This doesn't fit.
Well, no, the inauguration's at noon, so you get it, right? So like to be like a festive thing, and I was like, okay, well, we'll just invite this one and this one and this one. Now I'm up to 17 people. I'm like, okay, fuck it.
What?
We got, yeah.
All right, so I'm not going to be home that
So
day.
you won't be home. So, but it's a luncheon, so it's inauguration day luncheon. So just something to think about. This upcoming Monday,
Martin
A week-
Luther King Day,
a week
too.
From, yeah, are you guys
Celebrating
podcasting?
American
Are
freedom.
you going to podcast that day?
Yeah, I mean, I have the day
is a
off, but
holiday.
I'm going to come in. Yeah, we'll be here anyway. It doesn't
That's
matter.
cool. So there might be, some really cool stuff to talk about too on Monday. But it's just exciting. Yeah. It's an exciting time, and this country just needs to really turn around and get its shit together.
Yeah.
And people just got to start spending money and
Just
really.
needed the economy to pick back up.
Yeah, we do, and we're seeing upbeat. It's definitely picking up.
It's on an upward trend.
It is. It's picking up.
All right,
And
dudes.
I think I'm good. But anyways, just that the inauguration stuff. That's cool. We should be involved. We should watch. We should participate in that.
You should always participate.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
nervous.
it's a good time.
All
We're
right.
excited.
Well, thank you for joining me on episode 13. This has been all over the place and good stuff all the time. Join me back next week for episode 14. I am going to try to have one of my good friends, Sam Messina, on the show. If he's available, that's going to be really cool because we can talk about all sorts of crazy shit that we used to do. Tune in. Thank you.